is. There she is. There's nothing like filming an instructional video and actually landing a fish. So this shows you that the methods I'm teaching are working well. Good morning and welcome to Catch Fish, Be Happy. It's good to have you. We're here at Piedmont Lake to learn how to catch a trout, how to set up and catch a trout. I'm going to give you a few tricks as well as make it as simple as possible for you to outcatch anyone next to you, or if you're lucky, you get a whole spot to yourself like I do here. So number one, when you have your rod for transportation, traveling, I highly recommend you put a little bit of a tape, electrical tape, around the hook to terminate the hook, as well as the sinker. We'll talk about the setup in a minute. But what it does, it allows you to just place the rod in the car, on a rooftop box like I do, or anywhere else, and it won't get caught on things, and you'll be much faster to fishing. So let's go ahead and unwind this tape. Another trick is to reuse the tape. So I use the same pieces of tape maybe 10 times or more. So I just put them on top of my box, and they'll stay here until I'm ready to pack up. So today we're going after trout, specifically Lassen. This is what was planted in this lake. They're the beautiful pink hybrids bred at Mount Lassen Hatchery, and they're fantastic. But they're also a specifically very careful and I would say smart kind of fish. So they're a little bit of a, there's a few tricks that I'm going to show you today. Let's start with the most important, and that is your setup. So for the trout, what you want to have is, the setup is pretty simple. Now, there are a few things you need to know. Number one, I would put a little bit heavier sliding sinker so you can control how far it goes. There's a bead and your swivel clip. That's all. Now the swivel clip, sorry about that, the swivel clip goes into the leader. The leader is probably your most important part, and here's why. This is where you control how deep you want your bait to be presented. Now on this lake, there's some vegetation quite high, maybe waist high, maybe a little bit less. And so what we're doing is we're fishing with uncommonly large leader. I usually don't do this. My leader's usually around, I don't know, 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet. This one, look at this. This is probably 2.5, maybe even 3 foot leader. And so that's what we have to do in this lake. And this is trick number one is, whenever you go to a new body of water, you want to make sure you talk to some anglers or someone who has fished there, or watch a video like this one, to know what kind of setup is best. That way you're not guessing. I mean, there's a lot of experimentation and it's fun, but you want to begin experimenting within a certain frequency, within a certain limit of things. You don't want to just go in there and start throwing worms and different plastic baits and lures and trying to just see what happens. I mean, this is fun in itself, but if you're looking to catch, which is the channel Catch Fish Be Happy, you want to talk to an angler. That's your tip. Now the hook I use for this trout is this pretty small treble hook. The reason why I use this is I do a lot of cooking with my trout, and salting, cooking, smoking, all kinds of stuff. And these are really, really good eating. So I'm keeping these trout, and they're big, right? So I'm keeping this trout, and therefore I'm using the treble hook, which has a higher percentage of a hookup, but a less percentage of the fish surviving the hookup. But in my case, this is fine. And so let's put Powerbait on this. I'll show you how. Now this particular one, I've figured out that the pink works best. So you know what? If they want pink, who am I to argue? Couple of points. When you're making a ball from a Powerbait, I'd recommend making it just a little bit higher, a little bit larger than the hook itself. I've seen people put huge just dabs of Powerbait onto the hook. Number one, it's wasteful. You are paying for this, and the baits are not cheap. So number one, it's wasteful. Number two, the fish has a lot higher chance to come off the hook because of all that dough around the hook. Now what you want to do is kind of be tight about it and economical. Economy of motion, economy of bait. And so I'm covering the hook. Now the other thing you got to do is make sure you test that it floats, right? So if you put too small of a piece of dough, it won't float up. And if it doesn't do that, you might as well take have the pole out of the water. You'll have the same effect. Trout rarely, if ever, will
pick up the Powerbait from the bottom.
Okay, we're ready to throw in. Now, of course, there's a bunch of construction noise going on. I already have one rod set up and ready to go, so let's go do this one together. I have a rod holder with me, put it on the ground. First thing, you want to sort of free up your setup to make sure you're not tangled. Because if you are tangled, even a little bit, the force of the sinker shooting out will rip your setup off, clear off, and throw it in the lake. Now, I've already done this. I don't want to do this again. So, tip number two. Well, tip number, I don't know how many, but wear a hat. It's really, the sun is just blazing. Now, here we have the sinker. You want to have it 12 to about 16 inches away from the tip, just so it gives the whiplash to give you the distance you want. By the way, keep an eye on that red indicator. I'm using the bells as an indicator. If it goes up, we got the fish biting. So, all right, let's get a little bit more line. And you want to put the rod behind you, open up the reel, right? Hold it with your finger, and mentally go one more time through the setup. Okay, I have nothing tangled. My finger's holding the line. The reel is open. I can throw in. So what you want to do is nothing hard, just whip the tip right straight forward. That's where you want to go. So let's try that. That was a good cast. All we have to do is catch now. Now, once I cast, especially when it's windy like this, what I do is I put the tip a little bit lower and let the line go. Because of depth, it will take your line, and you don't want to lock it too soon. I know friends that do that. When you lock it too soon, it kind of floats closer to you. If you put it in the spot you wanted, give it line, let it settle, and only then wind it down. All right, let's set up. So I put it at an angle like this, especially with the fish. Just careful here; they're not like extremely hungry, which means they're opportunistic feeders, and they're kind of careful about their business. So this is the setup for the careful trout. Most of them, a lot of them are, but I've been to lakes like Cherry Lake where they just bite no matter what. They're hungry and they're abundant. Here's a little bit different story. Okay, so let's set up for a cautious trout. Okay, if you want to spend some time and get this line tight. I do like my lines pretty tight, so that's another indicator of potential bite. If the line goes flat in the water, or you can see, so in other words, falls in the water, then the fish swimming towards you with your bait, or you'll see the indicator go up. That means they're swimming away. And so when it's tight, I'm going to set up my indicator next. This feels pretty good. So what you want to do is either open this, or I have a bait feeder set up. So what I'm going to do is just hang this indicator here, pull some line, and hang my indicator like so. Okay. If it gets too windy, I won't be able to use these as much because they'll just flop around. I do have a bait feeder reel, which I will talk about a little bit later, and that usually gives me the opportunity to just unlock the free flow of line without indicators. Just sit there and listen for click, 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 click. Just lovely sound. All right, let's see if we can catch something. On the hook. Oh, he's jumping out there. You see that? That's a good size one. Get the indicator off. Keep going. Ooh, you see that jump? You see her jump? Man, she's got me out of the water. There she is. There she is. Oh, there she is. Look at that. Look at there. Oh, she's feisty. She is feisty. Yes. So we landed one today. What you didn't see, I think, is when the bobber started pulling up, I immediately flicked the bait feeder to let the free line continue. As the fish sort of gobbled the power bait, it started swimming away with it. And if it doesn't necessarily swallow it right away, and so what you want to do is you want to let it run for a little bit. When it gets a good grip of the power bait, then you set the hook, and that's exactly what we've done. Now what you didn't see is that bobber going up. I flicked the switch, immediately went to turn on the cameras, and then you saw the rest of the fight. But we did get a bite on that same power bait bowl that we put on the hook together early in the video. And that garlic scent, that mushed garlic that I had my fingers sort of touching and then molding the power bait, that really helps because look, trout don't necessarily love garlic, but it has this distinct smell that attracts them a little further away. So the power bait itself is garlic scented, but putting that little bit of that fresh scent, I think, gives them the ability to find it faster. They have a keen sense of smell, find it faster, and also make it a little bit more appetizing of a presentation, and so they go for it. Now that Lassen trout was probably about maybe a little under 2 pounds, but I think it's right around 2 pounds. And I already have a number of videos on how to smoke it, how to grill it, Next, I'm gonna show you how to salt it. So I'm gonna create kind of this, I don't know if you know the sockeye salmon you can buy at Costco and other places, where you'll have these pieces, salty fish pieces for breakfast on bagels or whatnot, like lox, and that's what we're doing with this particular trout. It has a pink meat and just amazing taste qualities, and so that's what we're gonna do with it. But so far we got another 20 minutes, maybe 15 minutes of fishing. Let's see if we can't get another one. But there's nothing like filming an instructional video and actually landing a fish. So this shows you that the methods I'm teaching are working well. Thank you for watching.